The pursuit of greatness begins at first light and never, ever ends. Time is the enemy, the ally, and the holy grail of every race car driver. Who will be victorious? Only time will tell. Let's go.
One of the things the Majors Series prides itself on is the diversity of schedule it puts its drivers through. And it can't get any more different than our previous round at Darlington and today's event in Formula One machinery at the hallowed temple of speed itself, Monza. Today's race could be a very decisive round as reigning champion Christian Challoner's good luck and great skill continues to see him top the charts. But will this Italian speedrome throw a wrench into the works of the championship? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the Majors Americas region, the Italian Grand Prix. You'll see it all here live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, my name is DJ Clark, and joining me here in the booth tonight is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Monza is one of the oldest and most historic circuits in the world, and it just hosted the Formula One Italian Grand Prix earlier today. But for anyone with a refresher, let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Welcome to Monza. This track has a major place in racing history, not just for the legendary races, names, and cars that have been here, but because it was the third purpose-built car racing circuit in the world. It's often discussed and reverenced among fans, and especially by Italians who have nicknamed it the Temple of Speed. In fact, the Ferrari fans here are so famous for their devotion that they have been dubbed the Tifosi and never fail to show up in droves. While the real world offers only 3 feasible layouts to race on due to safety, in iRacing, the inclusion of the oval and the lack of safety concerns gives it a stunning 9 versions drivers can choose from. The modern GP layout is of course the most well-known, with its long history of hosting the Italian Grand Prix. But the oval and combined circuits allow those who thirst for more speed to satiate that craving with its insanely high banking. Indeed, incredible velocities are a staple of just about every version you can race here. Draft battles are not uncommon, no matter which car you're racing. But the inclusion of the chicanes makes using an outbraking maneuver a much more tricky way of overtaking. The circuit is notorious for drivers getting tangled up with each other while running side by side in these slow and cumbersome corners. In fact, one of the greatest dangers for drivers is the first few laps when the field is still clumped together and attempting to navigate them 2 and 3 wide. While there are other modern circuits with high-speed straights, the fact that Monza sits inside the Royal Park just north of Milan and is still tightly lined with trees heightens the sense of speed here. All in all, Monza is unmatched in its history, thrills, and great racing. Its significance in motorsports history and culture is sure to be unchallenged for years.
Well, Adam, as I said, Formula One visited this track earlier today, but we're out today in a little older Formula One machinery. So what can we expect from this race?
Absolutely, DJ. The Autodromo Nazionale Monza is this 3.6 mile or 5.79 kilometer, 11 turn
beast that has hosted Formula One for so many years. The Tifosi, a very famous group of fans that have lined the stands here at Monza. And here we are racing the MP4, the MP34, the fantastic McLaren machine that, well, definitely was maligned by some of its drivers at the time of driving, but it's been modified here in the iRacing service to provide us with constant boost. They've made some adjustments to it recently to also add the 3 tire compounds. Now, interesting thing to talk about, they're able to do their choice of compounds for the start of this race, which means that they're not doing it on the tires that they qualified on like they do in real F1. And what that means is that some of the drivers might be able to go with the hard tires, which apparently it might be possible to get to the end of the race without a stop on the hard tires. But for those that do decide to go with the mediums or the softs, or decide to take a pit stop with the hards, they're going to have to worry about a very dangerous pit lane entry, which is something that we saw affect both the international and the European regions as well. One of the other things about Monza is its very high speed, over 210 miles an hour in the draft down the front straight, and that means low downforce, which also means no grip in that final turn. The Parabolica can be a very dangerous place coming around there on worn tires. But before they get to that, DJ, and before their tires are worn, they're going to have to worry about cold tires into turn 1, which has caused many accidents over the course of real life and simulator racing here at Monza.
Indeed, it has. That turn 1 infamous across the boards. But before we get ready to get into the racing, drivers heading out for the last 10 minutes of practice, let's take a look at the championship standings. Now, as I said, it's still pretty close at the top there, with Christian Challoner only holding a 9-point lead over James Walker, and Andrew Waring only 14 points back from them. Joshua Chin, 23 points back from the leader, so that's certainly all still to play for. And even Steve Driscoll, 49 points back within striking distance if his competitors have a bad race. But what about the sportsman category, Adam?
Absolutely. The sportsman category, we've got Ozzie Milwain currently leading that by 5 points over Justin Garrick. Then it's Joey Haynes only 2 points back, who's tied for that third position with Brian Halleck. 5th is Chris Sherburne, only another 7 points back of them. And then Maurice Gomillion is back to about another 16 points back of Chris Sherburne in the 6th position. So very tight for the sportsman race as they're getting going at the same time that this one is, DJ.
They are indeed, but we have another championship in this series, and that's the Teams Championship. And in that, you can see Forge Racing Pro 1 having a pretty sizable advantage over Kinetic America's Pro 2 by 75 points. Tight battle, though, for second with Evolve Sim Sports, only 5 points back of Kinetic. Decent gap back, though, to Kinetic America's Pro 1 with Dog Bear Red looking down there next. So good battles for second and fourth, and maybe a little bit of a change if we can see some movement up in the order. But what about the Sportsman's Teams Championship, Adam?
It looks fairly similar, actually, with Forge Racing Sport 1 up at the top of that standings. Sector 5 Sports, though, only 30 points back themselves, with High Class Racing in that third position, 48 points back of the lead. With Evolve Sim Sports Academy, only another 11 points back of High Class Racing for that last step on the podium. Very close there between them and Vengeance Motorsports. I believe that's how you say that, in 5th position. And it's actually still very close for the sports team standings, with Forge actually having the most buffer among all those drivers, but any of this could change tonight.
It very well could. We've got 2 more championships to run you through. The first off being the Legends standings. This is for some of the older folks that are out there on the track. Kevin Hill leading that category by 22 points over Wayne Hutchinson. Brian Barnes, though, only 3 points back from Hutchinson, so a close battle there between first and third. Ryan McGreevy, 43 points back of our overall leader, with Brian Bennett, 122 back in 5th. We also have a Legends sportsman standings as well.
Absolutely. Maurice Camillion leads that over the Robert and Robert tie for second place. That's Robert Gamble and Robert Deloche tied for second. Then we have Roger Shank down there in 4th position, only 6 points back of the Robert tie. And then we got another Robert Covey down in 5th position, only 2 points back of Roger Shank. Oh my goodness, Robert and Roger, so many of them on this board. But the Legends absolutely neck and neck right now for the lead of that championship.
Yeah, they really, really are. But we are going to check out one more thing before we bring you to the action, and that is today's race details. It's the 11th round of this series, and as we mentioned, we are racing the McLaren MP430. That's right, Formula One cars as they are supposed to be here around Monza. Just like this morning's Italian Grand Prix, it's going to be 53 laps with an open setup, and that's where those teams are really, really going to come into effect. A lot of these guys spending a lot of teams on their work. The only other big thing to keep in mind is that incident cap. 24 incidents will get you a DSQ, and so that may fall afoul of a few drivers. It's pretty easy to run wide here, whether you're cutting the chicanes in the first or second chicanes, or maybe just running a little bit wide at Parabolica, or anything like that. But before we officially go, we do want to bring attention to the charity for today. As with all majors races, we have a charity, and today it is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Established in 1987, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, or AFSP, is a voluntary health organization that gives those affected by suicide a nationwide community empowered by research, education, and advocacy to take action against this leading cause of death. AFSP is dedicated to saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide. AFSP creates a culture that's smart about mental health by engaging in the following core strategies: funding scientific research, educating the public about mental health and suicide prevention, advocating for public policies in mental health and suicide prevention, and supporting survivors of suicide loss and those affected by suicide. There is a link in our YouTube description. If you are feeling charitable, please head over there and donate to a great cause.
It definitely is a great cause, DJ. We're looking at the last 4 minutes of practice here. So you say Jason Enrique, having just set the fastest lap of the race, coming through the Parabolica, which has now been renamed to Alboreto. I was just reminded very kindly by our director. Very fantastic drive from him, absolutely, as he goes fastest yet again on those red soft tires. So I'll be interested to see whether or not he starts the race on those. Here we see a couple of drivers, all these drivers having gone off on the medium compound, the yellow walled medium compound. All 3 of them driving along right now down the back straightaway.
Yeah, indeed they are. And those 3 compounds, as you said, the reds are the soft, the yellows the mediums, and the whites are the hards. So we will keep you up to date on what we see these drivers picking out. There you see Alexander Russell. Now, this is one of the ringers here that is coming in specifically to drive this event. As you can see, he is not affiliated with anyone there. He is on screen, so he may be one to keep an eye on as a bit of a wild card here today.
Absolutely. We also have Justin Morton, who we've seen race on both the majors and over at the BRL League as well. He currently is not in his rig. He's, as we see there, out of the car and out of the sim as well. So he often drives in VR, so we'll look forward to seeing him looking into the turns a little bit later tonight.
Yeah, especially going into that first turn, that's going to be a great angle to see because you've really got to spot your corner quite well. Here's Joshua Chin. He's currently 4th right now, and I believe he is in that top 5 championship hunt. He's one that I'm going to be keeping my eye out for here today. He's been running pretty quick across the board, and he's one that has come on pretty strong as of late and a real specialist in these open wheelers. So Chin may be a threat to take a win here and scream out to the adoring throngs of Tifosi that tend to rush the track at the end of the race.
Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting, honestly, DJ, to think about. We've got 31 cars that are going to be lined up for this grid. That's over the max that F1 allows of 24. Actually, I hear that we just got Justin Morton back, so we can take a look at what his rig looks like when he's in it himself. Still not in the car itself, but there he is in his VR machine and hopping in the car, it looks like now. So Justin Morton just getting all set up. I know it takes a little bit of time with VR to get things going. So back with plenty of time, 1.5 minutes still to go to the grid.
Yeah, there you see Justin making his way out. Now, we talked a little bit about that pit lane entry and some of the drivers that during the Euro Series picked up pit lane speeding penalties. Another thing to be careful of is the pit lane exit here. It really does dish you right back onto the track. Oh, interesting there. I thought he was going to be practicing some starts there. looks like he's just testing a few things out, so a lot of strategy coming in here.
Now remember, it is a standing start here, DJ, so that's definitely going to be interesting with 31 cars on the grid. It's going to be a quick turnaround from gridding up till they get the green flag, which will be very interesting to watch. Always exciting to see standing starts, especially when you roar down to the hardest braking zone in F1 at turn 1.
Exactly, and in the sim, that is always known as a big-time danger zone. We'll have to see if the drivers here in the Euro Series are able to avoid lockups, avoid any sort of kerfluffle. That is not what we want to see out of this. If anybody can do it, it will be the drivers in this series. So keep an eye here. Seconds ticking down. This is Travis Warling and the UDOX machine coming on into the pits, practicing that pit lane entry. A lot of drivers watched the Euro Series this morning and are probably keeping an eye out for that.
Absolutely. You can catch a speeding penalty really easily, especially on worn tires. These tires, the way that they have, the way that they've been built by iRacing and the way that they behave towards the end of a run is actually fairly realistic. You can lock up the tires very easily there. So here we go, getting ready to go to the grid.
Indeed, and we are just excited as you are as the clock ticks over to bring you this starting order here today for the Italian Grand Prix. To the surprise of nobody, Christian Challoner starting off on the pole, and flanking him will be Andrew Waring. Behind him, it'll be Joshua Chin and Steve Driscoll, with Jason Enrique and Justin Morton behind him in row 3. Travis Warling will line up 7th, followed by Kevin Hill and Lyndon Swaby and Vincent Leherbier in 10th place.
Justin Kirby's going to start off 11th with Jeff Schmeier in 12th. Chrissy Tito is going to start off 13th with John Pat Kelly and Bradley Haley lining up next to each other. 16th is going to be Liam Quinn with Adam Halleck 17th, and Brian Barnes, Brian McGreevy, and Alexander L. Russell rounding out your top 20.
In 21st, it's going to be Nick Kuhn, followed by Daniel Johnson, with Wayne Hutchinson and Jimbo Pfeiffer in row 12. Rob Powers will be 25th, followed by Jason Wallet and Lynn Kinchlow and David Hall. And then Aaron Roos and Ronaldo Augusto making up the last 30, with Mark Stevenson lining up in 31st position. Just waiting for a couple more drivers here to grid up. That is Challoner starting there on the pole. As was actually discussed in the Italian Grand Prix this morning. While that is the preferred racing line, it may be a little bit of a better run. But here, lights are on, waiting for the green to fly, and there they go! It's a good jump from Challoner. As in the back, we see a lot of fanning out between the cars. Challoner able to get away to a good lead. That's Warling tucking in behind. We're 4 wide behind him.
4 wide going into turn 1. Are we going to be able to make it through cleanly? We have almost a spin in the background, and it looks like everyone's going to be fairly clean as we get through turns 1 and 2 here. Very close stuff through the Variante, and here we go. Off down towards, through the curve of Viciano towards the second Variante Alta.
Diving down here, we're seeing still a lot of action in the back as they go down into the second chicane. That looked like a better run there from Andrew Waring as they get there single file. Not a lot of passing going on at this point. Coming down into the Lesmos here, I'm seeing that Justin Morton may have run off a little bit. He lost a couple positions, as did Brian McGreevy. Warling Driscoll also falling off the pace just a little bit, but Christian Challoner continues to leave. Oh, that's a car off in the back.
That's Steve Driscoll, who's gone off in the back. He's managed to avoid the tires, so he's going to be able to get himself back onto track, but he's going to merge right into the path of the rest of the drivers. He's able to do so cleanly, but look at this. Christian Challoner with a nice 6-10 lead over Andrew Waring and Joshua Chin.
That's going to be mega for Challoner. Remember, these cars do have DRS. So
we've got the wreck in the back. It's David Hall and Jason Wallet who've collected each other, and that is through Variantias, through the Ascari chicane. They're able to get going once again, but the 21 is going to be in big trouble right now.
Oh, indeed he is. That was a big clobber into the wall coming through Ascari. You're able to get him back underway, but there's some definite damage to that car. Meanwhile, we focus in here. That is one of the Forge Racing machines. That's Jason Enrique in 4th place right now, trying to track down. Oh, we've got a battle for the lead. That's Waring trying to go to the outside of Variante of the Curva Grande on Challoner. They're going to be side by side going down into the second chicane. Who's going to be the latest of the late breakers? It looks like Waring's got the inside line. Challoner not giving it away.
Absolutely, Challoner trying to do everything he can to protect his championship, which has really come under threat over the last 2 rounds. He looks a little bit tight in that machine over the beginning of this run. We're going to ride on board with Joshua Chin, who's looking on both of these guys, but Andrew Waring with not a great run through the second Lesmo. Now as we go down the Curva del Sol, here we go. Let's see whether or not Challoner's going to try and challenge around the outside of Ascari.
He certainly is. Tries to make it work, but Waring defends that inside well. They're going to fall back in single file. Challenger not able to make it work there. Chin licking his lips in that popcorn position, waiting to see what will happen. They run 1, 2, 3. A little bit of a breakaway. Jason Enrique following behind them. This is not the good place to pass here, going down through Parabolica. Ooh, a little bit of a counter line there for Challenger. It looks like it may cost him mid-corner, but I think he's able to carry more speed out of that final curve.
These drivers also trying to figure out how they're going to deploy the ERS for these machines. They can set it to a couple of different settings that determine the deployment over the course of the lap. They also can push it as sort of a faux push to pass. Oh no! Andrew Waring blows the first turn. He blows the first chicane. He's going to have to give the position to Christian Challenger.
And he's going to lose more than that, as that's Joshua Chin coming up to him. Waring trying to hold off the best that he can, but Chin already challenging him around the Curva Grande. They are really pushing it here. They're going to be side by side again going into that second chicane, and it's going to be Chin up into second place.
Chin's got a good run also on Christian Challenger. Jason Enrique gets his tires in the dirt in the background there, so good runs for everybody so far, and very good racing from the front pack. Very good racing from everybody at this point in the race. We've only had one incident so far in this race, even with 33 cars on track.
I am very surprised but very pleased to hear that news, but this battle for the lead is not over yet.
I'm sorry, but Ronaldo Augusto and Daniel B. Johnson have gone around to the back of the field. They're both recovering right now, and I think Daniel B. Johnson's going to have to get a wing change. Ronaldo should be fine.
Remember, the wings can be changed relatively quickly in these machines. We're going to go out and check out that replay here really quickly, Adam.
Absolutely, and this was just, oh my goodness, just contact coming over the barrier. I think they just came together coming through the first Lesmo. Here we go into the corner, and yes, just a little bit of nose-to-tail contact, and that front wing definitely going to need to be changed for Daniel B. Johnson.
We might need to jump back up front because Joshua Chin looking like he's starting to challenge a little bit on Christian Challenger. We are 2 laps into the race, so that means DRS can be deployed in these machines. And here we go through the Curva Grande here, making their way around the top 4, starting to break away a little bit. Travis Warling back in 5th, about 1.7 seconds back. No moves going down into De La Roggia right there, but let's see what Chin's got coming through the Lesmos.
I can report that Adam Halleck had a self-spin in his machine. He's falling back as well. And it looks like Lyndon Swaby is taken to the garage. We'll investigate that one further a little bit later, but Christian Challenger still with a decent lead. But Joshua Chin putting on some heavy pressure right now.
Indeed he is, and we said we'd mention the tire choice from these drivers. All of the top 10 right now on the medium tire. The first change is Bradley Haley back in 11th on the softs. No change for position going down into Variante Ascari right now. That was a wide run there for both Chin and Challenger, but neither one of them pushing too hard on it. As you heard on the broadcast earlier today, actually, courtesy of Crofty, the reason why there's not a DRS zone going into Parabolica, well, it's because these cars normally don't touch the brakes going in there.
Absolutely. So everyone's racing around here right now with Joshua Chin absolutely closing the gap to Christian Challenger. He's gained about a 10th over the last lap, and now he's got DRS. Here he goes for the pass up the inside of turn 1. Is he going to be able to stick it?
Yes, he is. That is Joshua Chin up into the lead of this race. Challenger, though, looking like he was going to have a little bit of an attack, but I think he had to check up on the exit of the second part of the chicane. Now he's going to get a little bit of the draft coming through the Curva Grande. Is Challenger going to try to challenge back through De La Roggia? I don't think he is. It looks like he's going to stay in line, but the battling between these leading 2 has looked like to be able to create a little bit of a gap back to Andrew Waring and Jason Enrique, who are locked in their own battle for P3.
Absolutely. So Jason Enrique. Oh, here we go. A mistake from Joshua Chin has given the position to Christian Challenger. That was through the first Lesmo.
It was indeed, and in the back, Justin Morton having a little coming together with Justin Kirby. We'll get back to that later. Let's see now, as this is Andrew Waring on the attack, trying to get down Joshua Chin, but Chin has a little bit of DRS. Everybody hard onto the brakes. He's not going to be able to make the move into Ascari.
Absolutely. So Andrew Waring now has to fall back a little bit. Jason Enrique now pushing himself a little bit to try and catch up to the back of these 2, but now Christian Challenger in the lead. This is really a draft train of these first 4 cars with Christian Challenger, Joshua Chin, Andrew Waring, and Jason Enrique all tucked in with each other. Oh, another mistake for Joshua Chin, just a little bit of a loose moment. That's going to put him under threat from Andrew Waring.
It is indeed. That's the area you do not want to make a mistake. It is absolutely crucial to get it there, but it looks like that Chin is able to escape without a lot of penalty. There's Jason Enrique poking his nose to the inside, maybe trying to scare Andrew Waring a little bit as they go through Retafilio there, that first chicane. Got some good side-by-side action in the back as that is Liam Quinn holding off Justin Kirby. Oh, Kirby getting a little bit sideways in the back.
Absolutely, and Justin Kirby, he really is losing a little bit of positions right now as he's going around the outside of the Curva Grande, trying to hold on to this 11th position. Oh my goodness, a little bit into the grass there, and it looks like he's going to fall back one more position to Chris Tito.
Indeed. Let's check out the replay on this. Absolutely incredible stuff. See, got a little bit of a bad run there coming out of the Parabolica, focusing in here on Kirby. Now, this is going to be Bradley Haley that, this is going to be Liam Quinn that originally gets by him, and Haley's going to take advantage as well. So here he comes on by, easy move down into the inside. You see Kirby try to fight it a little bit. Now, that is Haley that comes up in there. There's the sideways action. Able to catch the car is Justin Kirby, and then Chris Tito says, thank you, I'll do that. We got to jump back up to the front. That's a good one with Andrew Warren getting squirrely, and here comes Chin.
Absolutely. Actually, Andrew Warren went deep into the Parabolica, and that's allowed Chin to come alongside him. But look at this. Look at the run from Jason Enrique. Here he comes. He's going to think about making the move and making it 3 wide. He's going to stick his nose up the inside of Joshua Chin, and Josh Chin has to get out of it.
And that was David Hall you saw bouncing across the barriers there. He is a lap down. That's a heads-up play from Jason Enrique, moving that car into a podium position right now. And Chin, as a result of that, falling back a little bit. All of this has allowed for Christian Challoner to break away in the front. As it stands right now, he is out of effective DRS range, and that will be a relief to the number 1.
Absolutely, but Andrew Waring is starting to claw back that position a little bit more. We've had a couple of pit comers. We've got Aaron Roofs, Justin Morton has been in the pits, Lynn Kinchlow, as well as Renardo Augusto and David Hall have all been in the pits. Aaron Roofs into the pits right now. He's getting some damage repaired to his front wing, and I think Andrew Waring has also broken DRS to Jason Enrique, DJ.
If our live timing and scoring is to be believed, yes, he has, although he and Challoner both just holding on to it. It's hovering around that 1 second mark. Now, it'll pick up here right about the end of Parabolica. I think Challoner's not quite going to be out of it yet, but Waring has definitely broken it to Jason Enrique.
So Jason Enrique now is going to be under threat from Joshua Chin once again. I can report Waring did not get DRS that time on Christian Challoner. Christian Challoner running the fastest lap of the race. He's on the medium tire. Speaking of tire compounds, we do not have anyone on the softs until we get down to Bradley Haley. He's our first driver who's not on softs. Here we go, Bradley Haley. Speaking of him, he's under threat.
He's not under threat. He's on the attack there, getting around Kevin Hill, using those softer tires to his advantage. That's exactly what you want to do in those soft tires. Now he's going to set him sights to Liam Quinn ahead of him. That purple car, though, that is Lynn Kinchlow. That is lapped traffic right in front of the 428.
So the interesting thing to note is our first hard tire runner, as we continue to watch this battle, Bradley Haley, putting some pressure on Liam Quinn. Liam Quinn actually getting a slowdown, I believe, having to pull over and let them go. But our first driver on hard tires is Alexander L. Russell. He's one of our drivers who's visiting for this round, and he might be trying to do the zero-stop strategy. So it'll be interesting to keep our eyes on him. Currently 17 seconds off the lead and falling fairly rapidly. His last lap was a 1:25.869 versus Christian Challoner's 1:24.390.
Indeed, and you see how smooth he's being there on the inputs. Oh, we've got to jump back up to the battle between Enrique and Chin. They're side by side through Parabolica. That was a big wiggle from Joshua Chin. He was barely able to hang on to the car.
Yeah, Joshua Chin almost got out in the gravel on the outside of the Parabolica, manages to save it, but he doesn't have GRS. Enrique does, because Enrique was behind entering Parabolica. We're going to take a look at this again. This was a scary moment for Chin.
Yeah, big time. Just got a better run out of Ascari. Decided to try it around the outside here of Parabolica onto that white line. Tries to go for it, and the car just snaps on him, as this McLaren is wont to do sometimes. But he's able to catch it and keep going, and he's able to keep some good pressure there. He's still got the gap very close to Enrique in front. continue to watch here. This is Chin just trailing him down. That's a car off into the grass there. I believe that's a lapped car that is down. As Chin now, as they come under the bridge, he's going to get the benefit of DRS. You can see there Enrique trying to stay out of the draft. That's a heads-up play there from him coming out of Ascari. Let's see if Chin gets that same kind of run that he got last time that allowed him to try to make the move into Parabolica.
Yeah, he's got a great run this time around, but he's probably going to want to stay behind and follow Enrique through Parabolica, maybe try a different line to make sure he doesn't get too much downforce taken off of him. There you see him try and take the outside line. He's going to swap to the inside here and then pick up the speed on the exit with the DRS. The AstroTurf in iRacing, very slippery on the outside of that corner, so he held it very well, but now he's got DRS and it just opens. And he's now going to try and challenge Enrique into turn one.
He's going to challenge him. Enrique going defensive again. I think he's very scared of Joshua Chin. That's Chin forcing him around a little bit. Chin's going to get the preferred line. Is this going to lead to a run? Whoa, both cars getting a little bit squirrely there on the exit of Rettifilio. Here comes Chin. He's a little far back to try a full move here, going down into that second chicane at De La Roggia. Indeed, he's just going to stay in the tire track, stay to the far right. Adam, you can really feel the pressure here. Enrique going super defensive.
Absolutely, he's going defensive, but it's starting to work for him. We're in lap 10 right now, so we have 9 laps on these tires, and it's getting harder and harder for Joshua Chin to follow in the footsteps of Enrique around this track because of the way that the downforce on these machines work. He's just getting a lot of dirty air, and he's got a decent run this time around. He's going to have to go to the outside here for Ascari. Oh, Enrique opens the door. Chin decides not to try and push the issue, though.
Yeah, I think that may have just startled Joshua Chin a little bit. I know I certainly wasn't expecting to see that move, but here we're going to focus back in. This is Bradley Haley trying to chase down Liam Quinn through that same area that we just saw. Little bit of a better run there for Liam Quinn, but Haley certainly closing down. He is the driver who is running highest on those soft tires.
Absolutely, Bradley Haley with those soft tires, they will fall off faster than anyone else's tires in this race, so he's definitely on a two-stop strategy, as are most of the drivers in this race. He comes off of the Parabolica, now coming onto the DRS activation point. The wing flips open on the back of that machine. You can see it open there. He's going to duck to the inside of Quinn. Quinn knows that the game is up, and he's just going to let Bradley Haley go by. Bradley Haley nails his braking point, gets through turns 1 and 2 cleanly.
Yes, he does. And I think that's a very, very heads-up play from Bradley Haley. He knew that the tire compound was different. He's not necessarily racing Liam Quinn at this, or excuse me, Bradley Haley at this stage, so good way to do that. There we see a pass there. Brian McGreevy getting passed around, and so the action continuing all the way up and down the field.
I do want to take our eyes away from these battles for a little bit to mention our biggest mover so far in this race. Only 11 laps in, Mark Stevenson has climbed his way up to 11th position after starting last on the grid. Mark Stevenson with a great climb up through the field right now. He just made his way past Chris Tito on the last straight. And he's doing an excellent job today trying to climb his way forward in this group.
Yes, he is, and that's very crucial. That is one of those Forge racing machines. Remember, we talked about that team's championship. He's going to want to make sure he can get the best results for his teammates out there today. I can report that Joshua Chin has been able to get by Jason Enrique. I believe that was going down into Ascari.
Yeah, it was the entry to Ascari where that happened, and Enrique, I think it's exactly what we talked about, where Enrique wants to be on the racing line, and Joshua Chin was just able to stick up the inside and get past him, so that pass made. Enrique now has to try and chase that down. Let's see whether I'm right about that, DJ.
There you can see it. No, Chin had to go the long way around, sweeping around the outside of Ascari. Oh, let's watch that again, Adam. That was spectacular.
Well, that's definitely not the move I described, but that's the move that was done, and it's much better in person than what I talked about. Watch this from Chin. Just getting the maximum amount of draft, pops out, slams on the brakes, and just commits to the corner. Leaves just enough room for Enrique on the apex. As they're able to go around the outside. Fantastic move from him. Oh, Andrew Ward's had a problem. He's very slow on the back straight.
He is indeed. I'm looking at the car. I don't see any visible damage to it, but I wonder if he maybe ran wide through the Lesmos.
In fact, he did. It was the second Lesmo, and he did not make contact with the wall, did he? Let's watch this right here. He's going to come through the second Lesmo, and this is a scary moment for any driver.
Yeah! Wow!
Well, he managed to save that just barely, but oh my goodness, that was a moment. Let's watch his hands here.
This is going to be absolutely incredible to see. This is how you control a car. That AstroTurf that you mentioned earlier, Adam, gets it. 1, 2, 3. I don't know how he saved that.
Well, Joshua Chin was able to snake by, and he couldn't lift because he's got Enrique and now Waring tucked in behind him, challenging him for those positions.
Yeah, he does indeed. This big battle for P2 still very hot, but with Andrew Waring dropping back like that, it's allowed for Christian Challoner to open up a 3.5-second advantage. So I believe that was Enrique there kicking up a little bit of dirt on the entrance to Lesmo 1.
I can report that that Andrew Waring really is starting to fall back from these guys. I think he's burnt off a lot of his tires with that move, and Jason Enrique, you can see him moving to the left side of the road down the back straightaway. It's very interesting that he's doing that even when he's tucked in behind Chin. I think he doesn't want to get too close to Chin before they get to Parabolica. I think he wants the best opportunity at the draft down the front straightaway. So here we go towards Parabolica one more time. Enrique tucked in behind Chin. He's going to have DRS when they hit the front straight.
Is indeed. We're watching Andrew Waring there running a little bit wide, but that should give him some good exit speed. Joshua Chin being very smart, trying to dive down there as much as possible, break that draft toe. I don't think anybody's really going to be close enough here to make a move, even though DRS is in effect. Challoner, though, however, able to grow out a little bit more.
Absolutely, Challoner's lead out by another 2/10 that lap. So Chin not able to close the gap on him. I can report that John Pat Kelly, one of our guest drivers, he's moved his way up to 15th position after having a horrid first lap. So he's now moved his way up forward quite a bit. Great job from him. And something's wrong with Justin Morton. I think he's not having a good race right now.
Let's go back and see this. We saw
this was after the Curva Grande. You could see him right there. He actually goes, oh my goodness, this is a huge moment for Justin. Let's take a look at this one. This is why we have aerodynamics on our cars.
Oh, big wiggled. Wah ha 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 ha. That car doing its best impersonation of an airplane as it gets up and over that curb, Adam.
Yeah, we saw that in the Euro race as well. So unfortunately for Justin, he's in the pits with floor damage, and major front wing damage as well. So gets his fast repair and we'll get back out on track. But for one of our leading Forge drivers, this is not the race that he was hoping for.
No, it's not. And remember last time out at Darlington, those Forge guys had a little bit of a tough day as well. As we check out live, looks like we're having a little bit of problems there with Justin's onboard camera. So sorry about that. Justin able to get back and on his way. Looks like he'll be all the way back down in 26th, though.
So 53 laps around Monza actually isn't that much time. Especially considering the fact that this is an iRacing road course, which means we will not get full course yellows around here. So once again, taking a look at Christian Challoner as he leads 4 seconds over Jason Enrique, who's broken DRS to Andrew Waring, who's about, 4 seconds to Joshua Chin, who's broken DRS to Jason Enrique. Andrew Waring another 1.5 back, and Travis Warling actually has started to claw his way into the front of this picture.
Yeah, he has. There you see that very familiar teal and purple paint scheme from the UDOX team working his way forward. Now, according to my sensors, he's got just over a second there. So I don't think he's going to get DRS here, but he has been able to claw his way forward. Does that look like a run wide there for Waring in front of him?
So Christian Challoner setting yet another fastest lap as the fuel burns down on these cars. These cars do not take fuel in their pit stops. They're set with 100 kilograms of fuel to start the race. And that's a lock up there.
Yeah, that was a big lockup from Andrew Waring. Not great for him, but he's able to at least hold on to it coming through there. But that's certainly going to pull Travis Warling into position here to be able to try to make a move. He is definitely going to be in DRS range when they make their way out of the second Lesmo.
Oh, and looks like Andrew Waring had another issue. He's going to have to block into the first Lesmo. So here we go. And Travis Worling, it looks like Andrew Worling possibly serving a time penalty. He's definitely setting it deep into the second. Lesmo gets a little bit loose. Here comes Travis Worling with a run. He will have DRS as well. Here we go. Let's see who. Oh, wow. Travis actually backed off there.
Interesting. I wonder if he's maybe setting himself up, doesn't want to make the move into Ascari. He can mess with the engine modes a little bit. I wonder if he maybe is just trying to do a little bit of fuel conservation as well. You know, maybe just fueled up a little bit light or something of that, as we've seen a lot of times in real life Formula One.
Well, what's interesting is that I know for sure that Christian Challoner didn't fuel up light. He's still pulled another 6/10 on Joshua Chin since we last talked about it, so he's definitely not under threat at all. Very much in control of this race at the front of the field. Bradley Haley, currently our fastest runner on the soft tire. Everyone else ahead of him is on mediums. Bradley Haley currently in 7th position, 1.3 seconds behind Vincent Leherbier. So he's got a little bit of work to do to catch up to Vincent, but I think he's actually getting caught by Liam Quinn here.
Well,
so Bradley Haley, those tires might be starting to wear off for him.
Read my mind, Adam. That's about what I was going to say, is that this is around the window, about 15 to 18 laps in, that I would expect those soft tires to start to wear out a little bit. So this may be an opportunity for Haley to try to come on into the pits, get a fresh set of boots on, as our friend Martin Brundle would say. The one thing he's going to have to worry about is lapped traffic. He could find himself just out in the middle of a sea of slower cars, and that would be disastrous for his race.
Oh, Kevin Hill's gone around for the 9th position. He's hit the outside wall very hard.
Yeah, that's coming off of Lesmo 2. I think he's got some
throttle.
Yeah, he's got stuck throttle. That may be some hardware issues. Let's check out this replay.
Oh, this is definitely hardware issues. We're going to see this car absolutely just spear off towards the inside as he gets through Lesmo 1. The car just continues to turn, and he'll head straight for the wall.
Yeah, you can see it there. That's definitely hardware issues. Always the worst way to have to leave a race. I know I've had it happen to me before.
Oh, Alexander L. Russell's gone around as well, and this is on the exit of Ascari.
Oh my goodness gracious. Big damage to the front of that machine. I'm not sure if he just lost it there. You can see him still cool as a cucumber, so kudos to Alex on that. But he is definitely going to have to come into the pits. So this is on the exit of Ascari that it looks like he loses it. Oh, his race is going to be done. That's rear wing damage as well.
Well, not his race, but he will definitely have to get his spare car. There you see the end of the accident, and this is a very classic Ascari incident. Just a little bit too much, trying to get too much purchase out of the rear tires coming off the exit, and they just lose grip, and he tries to correct. Wow, you see him, he hits those entry curbs, and that's what upset the car going through the rest of Ascari, and that's a huge impact.
Yeah, that's a massive shunt, and you are right, Adam. That whole thing was precipitated by just that running over the sausage curbs on the inside that upset the balance for the car through the whole sequence of that corner. It's one of the things that makes Ascari so difficult. Is you get it wrong in the beginning, you are going to be out of luck for the rest of those turns.
And Travis Worling has gotten the position back from Andrew Waring, back up to 4th position for Travis, so he's been able to get his way up going. There we see Alexander trying to recover. He is not yet down a lap, but our leader, Christian Challoner, is fairly close to him, so he's got definitely a lot of work to do to try and gain that time back. Now, he can get to the end of the race on the hard tires if he chose them. He decided to choose the mediums, so, I mean, I wouldn't question him. He definitely came into this race because we're racing this particular car and track combo, so I would expect him to be a little bit more of an expert on what these cars can do than I am.
Yeah, and I have to think that running the hards again would definitely compromise your strategy, so I think probably going to the mediums is the better decision. We've seen these mediums last out to about 25 or 30 laps, so we'll see if that's what they choose to do.
Oh, Travis Worling is around through the second Ascari. I'm sorry, through the second Lesmo, and that's huge damage for him.
Oh, that second Lesmo just absolutely catching everybody out here today. We're going to rejoin watching this replay as he goes through Della Roggia. Looks like he's got that all together. Comes into the first Lesmo. Good late apex. Perfect execution on the exit. And then this is where it all goes wrong. You just touch the grass, Adam.
and a heartbreaking slow roll into the tires that absolutely destroys his rear end. He's got no rear wing. He's trying to make it back to the pits now, just ahead of Justin Kirby. He enters parabolic, a very loose car, manages to hold on to it. He's going to be entering the pits now or not. All right. He's gone through the parabolica. He's decided that, all right, loose is good. He's trimmed that thing out. Let's see what kind of speed he's got. Not enough to stay ahead of Justin Kirby.
No, but up ahead of him, Andrew Waring just ran the first chicane, and there goes Kirby running the first chicane as well. So this may actually play out semi-okay for Travis Warling.
And Alexander Russell's around again. What is going on out there?
Russell off it. It looks like the second chicane. Everybody finding problems here today, Adam.
And Russell can't blame that on cold tires. He can blame it on new tires possibly. Just gets the inside of that chicane just a little bit too much. That sends him around. He's very, very cautious and manages to hang on to and stay there and not try and pull away. So there we see Russell back on track. He's lost a lap now to our leader, Christian Challoner, who has a 6-second lead over Joshua Chin in second.
Yeah, exactly. Follow Russell here, so that's not going to be what he wants to see, but he's going to try to at least salvage this back a little bit. I want to jump your attention around a little bit because we do have a good battle brewing. This is Bradley Haley and Liam Quinn. Now remember, Haley's on those soft tires, and we were saying they might have fallen away a little bit. Doesn't exactly look like that.
Yeah, but it does look like he's saving fuel. You could see him just back off a little bit. He's definitely making some adjustments here as Travis Warling decides to come into the pits. That damage is a little bit too much for him to run. He might have gotten a meatball flag himself, but through the corners, Bradley Haley still has decent amounts of grip. The trouble is I'm not sure he has the fuel to make it to the end on full chat, so that might be why he's backing off and hanging out behind Quinn.
Yeah, look at that. He was poking his nose to the outside of the draft, trying not to pick it up to get too close to Quinn in front of him. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Adam. I think he's trying to save a little bit of fuel down those long straights and just time that gap right.
Oh, wow. Liam Quinn a little bit twitchy through the second Lesmo. So here we go, down the long back straightaway. That rear wing's going to open to Bradley Haley, but you can see he's not interested at all in a pass. So Bradley Haley playing some sort of strategy game right now that we'll see play out over the rest of this race.
For sure, and I just happened to hop on board with him. He was lifting off at about the 300-meter board. Now, these are Formula One cars. These things can break as late as the 100-meter board. So definitely a little bit of early braking here. Maybe just trying to save that fuel, as you said. Maybe trying to get a little bit more of that ERS built up to be able to use it for the overtake.
So once again, just staying in line is Bradley Haley, not interested at all in moving past Liam Quinn. So very fascinating to see that. I think they are catching up to Vincent Leherbier a little bit over the course of each lap. So interesting for sure to keep our eyes on Bradley Haley and see if he decides to make that pass on Quinn at any point. But it doesn't look like he's interested right now. It looks like everyone's more or less settled out right now into where they feel comfortable before their pit stops here. We've reached lap 22, so that's kind of the beginning of the window of what you would want to do for strategy to make it to the end of the race here if these guys are going to go onto the hard tires. So I'll be very interested to see how long Christian goes up at the front. He's on the front straightaway right now as we see Bradley Haley once again staying in line with Liam Quinn. Christian Challoner has that 7.8 second lead over Joshua Chin. Then Jason Enrique is only about 2 seconds behind. Andrew Waring about 4.5 seconds back of Enrique. Then we got Vincent Leherbier 2 seconds behind him.
Yeah, and then behind them
Waring's gone around! Major contact with the outside wall, and he takes a tow.
Oh my goodness gracious, nobody able to catch a break out here today. Let's go back to this replay. This is coming out of Ascari, going down into Parabolica.
Absolutely, and we're going to see him enter the Parabolica, just run a little bit wide, misses the first apex, just runs a little bit wide on the speed and gets out into the Astro Nerf and sends himself out into the outside barrier. Very reminiscent of Charles Leclerc's wreck from last year.
You read my mind on that one as well, Adam. A big whap there for him, and that's going to take him out of this leading pack. So that means that it's Challenger, Chin, and Enrique in your top 3, focusing in on Enrique right now. Ooh.
And look at this. This is a move between Nick Kuhn and Brian Barnes. That was a sketchy moment between those two drivers. Daniel B. Johnson looking on from the back as he's trying to recover from his first lap woes as well. So
Barnes is missing a front wing there, unless I'm crazy. Yeah, he's missing a front wing.
Where did that happen? And this happened all the way. No, this happened all the way back at. Wow, this happened right before the first Lesbo. He absolutely clobbered a curb, so he's a full lap around with no front wing, and he's still going. This is fascinating.
He's making it work. It looks like the best that he can. Here it is. So
just a little bit before this, I believe.
Yeah, his wing's off there.
Yeah, right here.
Oh. Yeah, doing another airplane impression like we saw Justin Morton do earlier. So that's the second time that those big sleeping policemen on the inside of the De La Roggia chicane catching somebody out. That is Vincent Leherbier coming into the pits. And Leherbier is going back out on the medium tires. So he is projected to probably be able to make it to the end of the race on those if he wants to.
Absolutely. So he's out on an alternate strategy. And, oh, look at this. Liam Quinn's had an issue. Similar incident, DJ.
Yeah, going down into De La Roggia, misses it, and boop, just a hit there on those chicanes. And that's going to be just enough damage to get a little bit of front wing damage to that machine. Now, that allowed for Liam Quinn to get on by. Remember, Quinn running on those red banded soft tires.
And we've had a couple of takers for our first pit stops. Adam Halleck and Brian Barnes, and now Joshua Chin. He's definitely decided that those front tires are spent, so he's going to come into the pit lane. So very, very interesting for him. So he's decided that he doesn't want to have those flat spots, carry them around. Now, granted, we don't have flat spots in iRacing as of yet, but Bradley Haley following Chin in as well. So Chin coming up onto the jacks, coming back down, and he's out and away.
Yes, he is. So that's going to be the first of your leading group to take that pit stop. Chin coming out, it looks like, on the medium tires as well.
Oh, we've had a spin in the first turn. That was Chris Tito who went around. He's backed it out of harm's way right now. Oh my goodness, that could have been disaster if anyone came in after him.
Very much could have been. Just waiting for the opportunity.
He beached it.
Oh no, a beach for you, Tito.
He beached it on the sleeping policeman. Here we go. This is a challenge that he had from Mark Stevenson up the inside. And then he just loops it around and then just puts it in reverse and beaches it.
Oh, you can see those rear tires spinning. That is so frustrating as a driver, and had to take the tow. So that's going to deposit Yatito back currently in 16th place, but I imagine that he's going to fall a little bit farther down the order than that. Here's Vincent Leherbier. Now, remember, he was the first of your leading pack to come into the pits. He's currently got John Pat Kelly behind him.
And oh my goodness, that is a tire delta if I've ever seen one. John Pat Kelly on old softs, Vincent Leherbier on new mediums, and you just saw he flew by. Jason Enrique is into the pits from third position, so he's trying to get his pit stop done. Mark Stevenson also into the pits from sixth, and Pat Kelly just going backwards right now.
Yeah, I'm very, very surprised that anybody's still out there on those red banded soft tires. But there you see Enrique coming back out. Looks like he's going to stay out on the mediums. He's going to be in a little bit of a duel here. That is Leherbier just barely getting by him going into the first chicane. And now it's going to be a race for Enrique. Now that is Reynaldo Augusto behind him. That is lapped traffic, so he's just got to focus on the car in front of him.
Absolutely. So Leherbier, that tire delta working out for him, even with that damage that he had. So great move from him to get that undercut done. I mean, it wasn't necessarily intentional, but it's definitely working out for him. Now, it's important to note for all of our viewers, these drivers are not required to do two different tire compounds over the course of the race. They could do two mediums if they choose to do so. Just a lack of ability to really research and police that particular requirement that F1 has. So that's why you see some of these drivers going back out on medium tires.
Yeah, exactly. And really and truly, I think that two medium is going to that two stop or the one stop medium to medium. It's probably the best way around here. Any of the drivers that we saw on an alternate strategy, it doesn't really seem like it's paying off that much for them.
So Joshua Chin and Liam Quinn and Justin Kirby into the pits now. There we see Liam Quinn getting up on the box. He's going to come back out, and a pretty good stop for him, 4.4 seconds. We're only seeing about 0.2 of a second separation between these pit stops. And as he exits, I can report Enrique has just made a pass on Leherbier into the first turn, so those two have settled their dispute there, and now we're about to see the difference between the undercut and overcut here, and there we see the battle between Enrique and Leherbier. Leherbier with a good run, but he pokes his nose out of the draft, and he's going to back off a little bit before we get to De La Roja.
Yeah, so I think discretion being the better part of valor there for Leherbier, not wanting to press his advantage, and also knowing that he will have a run going down through Lesmo 2, picking up that DRS zone, so he may be able to have a shot here.
So here he goes down the back straightaway, Enrique and Leherbier. You can see Leherbier poking his nose out again. I wonder whether or not he's trying to get reduce the temperature to the tires a little bit there. But here we go. Let's see whether or not Leherbier can close up a little bit on Enrique before they go through the parabolic.
He's going to try to, but it looks like Enrique's got the measure of him, even though you can see that speed difference from Leherbier. Able to keep up a good gap behind. Ooh, a little bit of a blink there from Jason Enrique. That's the last thing you want to see at a speed temple like Monza here. That's a little bit scary, but doing his best to weave this way and that. Remember, every time he does blink out, that will effectively break the draft for Leherbier.
Absolutely. So this is definitely not a good thing for either driver, because he has to worry about whether or not he's going to stay connected. Leherbier has to worry about whether or not he's going to keep the draft. So Steve Driscoll has just taken his pit stop and come back out. Mark Stevenson sets the fastest lap of the race. So Mark Stevenson on a tear in 10th position right now, just having gained that position over Steve Driscoll. There he goes right out of your screen there. The red car just passed through. Mark Stevenson with the current fastest lap. Christian Challoner has just taken his pit stop, I believe.
Yes, he has, and much like the rest of our field, gone medium, so that's exactly what we've been expecting here. It's also the preferred strategy that we saw out of the European region earlier today on GSRC. So no real craziness in terms of strategy playing out, and Challoner doing what Challoner does best and just dominating this field.
Interestingly enough, John Pat Kelly has just come in for his pit stop, and he's gone back out on the soft tire. So even though it was definitely wearing away towards the end of that run, he thinks the soft tire is the way to go. He's trying to make a move on the laps on Jeff Schmeier rather for the 14th position. There we see them both exiting the second Lesmo. He's got a decent run plus DRS. He should be clear by the time they get to his car.
Yeah, he should. That was Schmeier running a little bit wide on the exit of Lesmo 2, and indeed, there goes John Pat Kelly on by. Now, he's going to have his work cut out for him. He's got about a 5-second gap up the way to Nick Kuhn, and he's going to get a move on because, Adam, as you said, once those red banded soft tires wear out, he's going to be in a world of hurt.
Absolutely. So Schmeier now tucked in behind Pat Kelly. If he can follow Pat Kelly through here, I mean, look at that. The tires just going really quick, but look at this battle here. This is between Bradley Haley, Mark Stevenson, and Steve Driscoll for the 9th position.
Things getting a little bit spicy here with all of these drivers. You love to see it. That is Haley leading, as you said, Stevenson, Driscoll, all of them closing down on one another. The gap's holding it just under a second across the board, so we could see a little bit of a DRS train starting to develop.
Absolutely. Now, that being said, they've got to be very careful here because with these fresh new tires. They're all going to be very racy. Look at this. That is Driscoll with a great run on Stevenson. Here we go towards Ascari. Who's going to break latest?
Wow, it looks like that is going to be Stevenson holding that down.
Absolutely, so Stevenson holds that position just for the moment. Driscoll is now getting up to the back of Haley there, and they're actually catching up to the back of Jimbo Pfeiffer ahead of them, so this is now soon going to be a 4-car battle.
Is indeed, as there goes Jimbo Pfeiffer taking off into the pits. He had yet to stop. It's going to be an interesting strategy to keep an eye on, because I have to imagine he'll have a little bit more life left in those tires near the end of the race. Let's keep our eyes focused, see if he stays on the mediums. Looks like he does.
So the medium strategy yet again being the preferred one for him. He definitely went longer than anyone else, so he's going to have a little bit more tire life towards the end of the race if he's got the ability to accentuate it, but he exits pit lane, Jimbo, into the 15th position, and he's got Daniel B. Johnson for company as they go into turn 1.
Yes, he does, but it looks like Jimbo's able to hold that out ahead of him, so he'll be happy about that, able to hold on to that position. Let's jump you back over to this battle that we were watching. This is Bradley Haley and Steve Driscoll, if I can pronounce their names correctly. That battle has continued to be very, very fierce.
Yeah, and so Steve Driscoll and Brad Haley very much fighting this out, and Mark Stevenson up ahead with currently not the fastest lap, because Christian Chandler just set the fastest lap by a half second. But Steve Driscoll chasing down Bradley Haley here. He's got the DRS, but Mark Stevenson is close enough to Bradley Haley that Bradley Haley also has DRS, so Steve Driscoll with not enough of a run to challenge Bradley Haley into the corner, but enough to get close.
No, he's not. Looks like he missed the apex there on the second part of Rentifilio. And so that means he's going to lose a little bit of closing speed here through the Curva Grande. Takes a narrower line, though, able to keep a little bit of clean air on that front wing. But he's going to have to reset and try that attack here on a different lap. A little mistake there from Steve Driscoll cost him.
So everyone has come to the pits with the exception of Brian McGreevy in the 11th position and Jeff Schmeier in the 15th position. So these drivers who have yet to pit definitely low on pace right now. There we see Daniel B. Johnson making his way around Jeff Schmeier, who does come into the pits this time around. So that leaves Brian McGreevy as our only non-player in this race.
As Joshua Chin takes the fastest lap of the race, doing his best to try to keep that gap to Challoner down as much as possible. Now, I wonder at this point if McGreevy's hoping to stretch this out a little bit longer, maybe end the run on a set of those soft tires and see if he can do a little bit of charge up through the field.
Absolutely. He's closing in on 20 to go here, so he's definitely within the realm of that. And it looks like David Hall's had an issue. Yes, he has. He's hanging out on the exit of Ascari right in the drive line. He's going to try and recover here. That's Chris Tito that goes by, and he's going to try and get this thing turned around. But that was a scary moment for everyone involved. Oh, my goodness. That was Jimbo Pfeiffer, who just barely missed him.
Hoi, oi, oi, Jimbo very lucky to get by through that. Let's watch this replay. Oh.
Yeah, just a little bit, got his foot down a little bit too hard on the exit of the Ascari chicane, and that ends up sending the rear tires. The rear tires were slipping a little bit more than he expected, and just the car snapped on him.
Yeah, right on board there with Jimbo. Wow!
Oh.
Whoa, he is so lucky on that one.
Well, I mean, Jimbo doesn't expect anyone to be sitting on the exit of Ascari. That's usually a place where people tend to try and get out of that fairly quickly. But once again, all the drivers are going forward again, and David Hall is back into his pit box. I believe he already took his fast repair, so yes, he did. So he's going to have to. Actually, he just took it, so he's now going to be back out on track 4 laps down. We're taking a look once again at this battle for the 8th position. Mark Stevenson, Bradley Haley, and Steve Driscoll all in a line.
Yeah, they very much are. And right now, Mark Stevenson getting a little bit of benefit. That is Aaron Roos that he's going around. A little bit of lap traffic. Haley's going to get by him as well. It's going to be close for Driscoll. I think he's going to get by him too. But what that allowed a little bit is for Stevenson to gain a slight advantage. But Haley's starting to pull up back to the rear of that number 53 red machine.
Absolutely. Haley has now dropped Steve Driscoll quite a bit. Steve Driscoll now down outside of a second. So outside of DRS range for Driscoll, Bradley Haley definitely pushing a little bit with a little bit more battery. Steve Driscoll looks like he's expended his entire battery. He's definitely getting that report of harvesting every time he applies the throttle. So just a little bit of a mismanage of that ERS is leading him to fall back here of Bradley Haley and Mark Stevenson.
Yeah, and that's one of sort of the unspoken things that makes this Formula One car here, this McLaren MP4-30, so difficult to drive. Not only do you have to do all of the tire management that you hear every time you tune into a Formula One Grand Prix, you also have to worry about that energy management. When are you going to deploy it? How are you going to deploy it? All of those different things. It really makes for a technical drive no matter what circuit you are on. Continue to follow this battle. That's Jeff Schmeier right up ahead. That should give Stevenson the DRS, and indeed it does. So that may deny Haley a little bit of an opportunity here, but it may slow down Stevenson. Whoa, that was close.
And both of them miss the corner. Bradley Haley makes the corner. Mark Stevenson's going to have to give up some time, but I don't think Bradley Haley's going to be close enough to make the pass.
No, I don't think he is either. No, that was him. That was Haley going by.
So Stevenson did not give up quite enough time when he exited that runoff area. We're going to see this again. I'm sure Stevenson's not going to be very happy about this one. He thought the driver ahead was going to let him go. There was contact there, definitely contact between the two of them.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit of a clip, I'd imagine, to the left front wing of Mark Stevenson. I'm looking at the car right now. I can't see any noticeable damage to it, but still, that may be costing him a little bit, especially as Steve Driscoll looks like he's closing in behind in that neon green machine.
So a little bit of early braking, and he just gets caught out a little bit there. So Mark Stevenson, hopefully that doesn't affect his straight line speed too much. Mark out there on a new set of mediums. Steve Driscoll as well. Mark having pitted 2 laps before Steve did. So Steve now using up that, he's gotten that battery recharged again and is clawing his way back up towards Stevenson.
Yes, he is. And remember, you did mention earlier, Adam, that there are no flat spots in these tires, but if you do overwork them and you do lock them up, it will overheat the tires, and that will cause them to wear a little bit more. So that little incident there for Stevenson may not be affecting him right now, but it could see dividends paying in the fortune of Steve Driscoll later in the race. As Ronaldo Augusto, one of the ringers here today, setting the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, but he's back down in the 21st position, a lap down, so that's not going to be affecting Christian Chandler too much. And remember that this is the Major Series, not the Formula One Series, so there's not a point for fastest lap here.
No, there is not, but that will be a nice little bit of bragging rights, I would have to imagine, as we watch him make his way around right now. This is Ronaldo Augusto going around the corners. I believe that's Brian McGreevy coming back into the pits. He's going to come out. Yep, that's that strategy I was talking about. McGreevy waiting to stop late and coming out now on a set of softs.
And he's going to be under threat from Alexander Russell, one of our guest drivers here, who's going to be putting him under serious threat. He's got warm tires versus McGreevy's cold tires, but McGreevy has softs, and McGreevy's just going to let him go by. Does not want to try and put up any sort of fight right now. He's just trying to get those tires warm.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to give it a couple of corners for them to come in and try to fight them a little bit too much, too early. That'll really hurt you. Oh, love that. You can see there from Alexander Russell as his eyes just following through the corners on that big curved monitor. Oh, big catch there from Alexander.
Still calm as a cucumber, though, in the seat. Does not even look concerned at all. He reaches down, scratches his leg, gives a little bit of a smile. Yeah. He looks very calm, even though he had that big catch.
I know for a fact that I am not that calm when I make a mistake inside the sim, so Alexander Russell, my hat's off to you, sir.
My eyes are still in that battle for 9th position between Mark Stevenson and Steve Driscoll. Steve has not been able to pass Mark, but is definitely still close in behind. And it'll be interesting. So both of them are harvesting on the straightaway here. A little bit of power issues between the two of them, but you could definitely see that Mark Stevenson is using up the tires a little bit more. Steve Driscoll, though, just does not quite have the line down when he's tucked in behind a car. But here we go, Steve Driscoll pushing a little bit harder now. He's going to go for the pass before they get to the parabolica. Mark Stevenson turning into the corner now. Steve Driscoll and Mark Stevenson are going to be nose to tail as they come out of the corner. Stevenson, a little bit of a slip up. That's going to give an advantage to Driscoll.
It will, but you see that red light, energy harvesting there from Stevenson. Here comes Driscoll. He is on the power with DRS. He is full clear. Stevenson's going to try to fight back around the outside, but he just doesn't have anything. That is position. Steve Driscoll in a wiggle there from Mark Stevenson coming around the exit of Rettifilio.
Yeah, Stevenson trying to be a little bit too aggressive on the exit there. Tires said, can't do it, man. And there goes Steve Driscoll off into the distance. Now, something I've been keeping my eyes on is Christian Challoner's lead is decreasing quickly. He was up to 8 seconds before his pit stop, now down to under 3. 2.5 seconds up down to Joshua Chin. So Chin putting on some pressure to our championship leader.
Remember, I said at the beginning, Chin is a bit of an open wheel master and really putting it in. And here's the important thing to remember. They really haven't had any lap traffic to contend with, Adam, so it's not like Challoner can necessarily put the blame on that. This is just Chin's outright pace. The only catch is going to be is if Joshua Chin is overworking his tires here in the last 10 laps or so, is he going to have enough life left in him to be able to make a move on our reigning champion?
Now these F1 cars punch a hole in the air about 2.5 seconds back, so as soon as Chin gets within that range, he's going to have even more draft that he's going to be able to pick up. That should be increasing his lap times, so definitely going to be interesting to see whether or not Challoner is going to start pushing right now. Chin still clawing time away every lap. Their last laps, Christian Challoner at 1:23.6 to Joshua Chin's 1:23.3.
Indeed, as that's Mark Stevenson not giving up on the fight with Steve Driscoll quite yet. We do have Adam Halleck a little bit up the road from them. This was hampered a little bit by Rob Power's lap traffic that they were just able to get around as they make their way through the Curva Grande.
Absolutely, and Stevenson getting passed by Driscoll. Stevenson now just clinging to the back of Driscoll, trying to use his DRS to drag him up towards Bradley Haley, 3.6 seconds ahead. Adam Halleck just ahead of these two guys, but Driscoll getting that pass done up into 9th.
And Driscoll doing a good job to hold on to it there, so kudos to him for that. It looks like he's not going to get the benefit of DRS there from the car in front of him as Joshua Chin setting the fastest lap of the race.
Boy.
That's 0.5 faster than Challoner's last lap.
Oh boy, DJ. This is going to get spicy. I think Joshua is bringing it for these final sets of laps. This is going to get interesting here as Jimbo Pfeiffer pulls off and lets Joshua Chin go through. 2 seconds now is the gap between Challoner and Chin. Chin is absolutely bringing it, trying to catch up to the back of Challoner, and given how effective we've seen DRS be on this track with these cars today, I would not be surprised if Chin gets DRS, Challoner is going to have to put up a real staunch defense.
This is where that AWS marker of the percentage of overtakes would really come into handy here if we had it, but alas, we don't. We've just got to rely on our own wits. Watching Challoner, he's very, very smooth on the inputs, so he may be thinking a little bit long game. Now, that's Jason Wallet up ahead of him. I think he's going to lose out on the DRS from Wallet. He was about 1.1 seconds up the road. Bit of tire squeal there from Challoner coming around Parabolica, but nothing to write home about.
Chin absolutely pushing. Let's see whether or not this rear wing opens for Challoner. The answer is no. Chin not close enough either, but Challoner should be getting a decent draft from Wallet. Wallet 1 second ahead of Challoner. Challoner's going to be starting to, you know, if we had Sebastian Vettel in the house, we'd be hearing blue flags quite a bit here. There goes Wallet moving over a little bit to let Challoner by, and they're able to sort it out.
They are able to sort it out. Now we'll have to see what happens here with Chin. Chin was about 0.4 of a second faster on that last lap than Challoner. That was clean air for both of them. Chin also equally smooth on the inputs. I've been keeping an eye on it. He's really not putting too much pressure into the wheel, although now he's going to be in the dirty air. As we got a little bit of a battle on screen shaping up here. This is Bradley Haley trying to work his way around Justin Kirby.
Yeah, this battle's been building for a couple of laps here between Bradley and Justin. These two drivers very close together on times. Bradley Haley with a definite pace advantage, but he's definitely not been able to make the pass. The tire's just a little bit too old and runs wide.
Just getting it wrong there and depriving us of what could have been a great little fight there. Still got some time to try to bring it back up. Check back in on another one of those great battles we've been following. That's Mark Stevenson. Remember, Steve Driscoll got by him 5-6 laps ago. Stevenson not giving up the fight.
Yeah, I think this is all about energy at this point for these two drivers. There you see Driscoll starting to harvest in the middle of the straightaway. Stevenson not harvesting until the braking zone, so Stevenson has a little bit more energy in those batteries to try and claw some time back, but now they're catching up to the back of Justin Morton. So Haley is, they're catching up to the back of Bradley Haley ahead of them, and that's for position. Stevenson definitely on the push there, almost goes into the back of Driscoll. Driscoll opens up the corner to make sure that there's no contact, but Stevenson's definitely going to have draft here, and Haley into the pits again.
Interesting there from Haley, but yeah, I think that was actually a pretty heads-up play from Mark Stevenson, deliberately trying to force Driscoll wide going through Parabolica, and it worked like a charm. Move Stevenson back into what is now the 8th position, courtesy of the pitting Bradley Holly.
So Bradley Holly back out, he's decided to toe, so something definitely went wrong there. Christian Challoner's been had an issue with David Hall on the exit of Ascari. This is going to bring Joshua Chin within DRS range.
It is, but what's going to happen with Hall here coming through Parabolica? Hall tries to run a little bit wide. I think that may have compromised Chin ever so slightly. The gap as they exit is just over a second, but as it ticks in, there is that rear wing flap opening up for Joshua Chin. He's in DRS range, and the race for the top step of the podium is on.
Absolutely, Chin, first time he's had DRS in quite a while, manages to nail that first turn. Now out of the first corner, up towards the Curva Grande, towards De La Rocha. Chin clawing his way towards Christian Challoner. Challoner's going to have to put on the jets if he wants to stay ahead of Chin, who's really bringing the heat.
He very much is, both diving onto the brakes through De La Rocha. That gap continuing to come down. You mentioned that problem with the traffic with David Hall coming through Ascari. It cost Challoner on the last lap to the tune of about 0.5 of a second. That's how much faster Joshua Chin was. Now they dive their way through the second Lesmo. This is the second bite at the apple for DRS for Joshua Chin. He will get it as they go through there, under the bridge of the old banking and down into Ascari.
Through Ascari, Christian Challoner very clean, very calculated. Chin just absolutely on it right now. He's absolutely maximizing this car. You can see him just completely nailing these turns. Look at this, Challoner, both of them, Challoner and Chin harvesting as they're on this back straightaway. And Chin, I might have just gotten DRS coming into it. Let's see what happens here. Challoner doing what he needs to do to try and stay ahead.
Putting in a 23-1 for Challoner and a 23-1, only separated by 100th of a second on that last lap, were our two leading drivers. Hard down into the brakes. That gap still hovering at about a second, so I think Challoner knows the problem that he's got here, and he may have been saving his tires the best he could for this exact moment, Adam.
Yeah, there was no DRS for Chin that time on the front straightaway, so as we're on 11 laps to go here for Chin and Challoner, Chin is absolutely putting pressure on. Oh no!
That's a spin! That's Chin! That is Chin off! He managed to catch the car, but oh my goodness, he is going to probably lose out here on the chance to attack Christian Challoner for the race win. Adam, let's check out this replay.
Pushing a little bit too hard here. This is going to be a heartbreaking moment for Joshua Chin, who's absolutely putting on a show trying to gain that position. Here we go into De La Rocha. He's just going to put the brakes on. Let's see what happens. He clips the first curve just a little bit, and I think that might have upset the car going through the second one.
I think that's exactly right. It's similar to what we have seen through Ascari multiple times. And now that battle, Steve Driscoll now not letting it go away. This battle for P8 just will not die.
Absolutely. They were side by side through De La Roche at that time around Mark Stevenson, the braver of the two on the brakes, but Driscoll with a draft, and man, they're harvesting so much down this straightaway here. Both of them using so much of their energy to try and battle each other. Oh, Stevenson a little bit deep into Ascari. Is that going to get the advantage to Driscoll? Driscoll's going to have to follow him through, but Stevenson will get the DRS off of Brian Barnes up ahead, so not as much of an advantage to Driscoll as he would like. But here we go, through the Parabolica one more time, approaching 10 laps to go.
Indeed, let's see what the run is. A little bit of a squiggle there for Stevenson up ahead, but as you said, the DRS flap for him about to pop open. Boop, there it is. You can see it. Driscoll not looking like he's got the outright speed to be able to close it down. Maybe he's going to get a little bit of a hold up here courtesy of lap traffic.
Not much of a hold up, just a little bit of a hesitation from those drivers, but in Formula One, that is enough to cause a little bit of a mistake there from Driscoll. A little bit of a slip up on the exit of the corner leads to about a 0.3 of a second gap that Mark Stevenson is able to claw away from Steve Driscoll, and this battle will continue for yet another lap. Oh wow, way over the inside curve for Driscoll that time through at De La Roja.
And that could lead to a little bit of floor damage for that machine. Remember, there are some aero elements on the bottom of these floors. Looks like John Pat Kelly is coming into the pits right now. Not sure, we'll have to check on that if that is a scheduled stop or not.
Not a scheduled stop for him. That's the second time through pit lane. He's on the softs now. I think he's just a little concerned about the tire life, or, I mean, that's the only really real explanation here. So maybe he thinks that more drivers are going to make mistakes.
Very well could. I mean, that could pay out dividends if it happens, and it's going to release him still in 10th place, so a pretty good points haul for John Pat Kelly. Just hoping that maybe there's a little bit of mistakes for drivers in front of him on that worn tires.
Mistakes has absolutely defined this race, with Christian Challoner leading over Joshua Chin by 3.7 seconds. Chin absolutely has the ability to draw that back in. He was able to close on Christian Challoner a gap of 4 seconds over 2 laps. So wow, this battle between Stevenson and Driscoll, like you said, it won't go away, and Stevenson just barely hanging on to it. Oh, Stevenson's slow.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was contact or if he got a slowdown, but he definitely came over the radio and said something to Steve Driscoll there. So Driscoll now back up ahead of Stevenson, but Stevenson not looking like he's ready to give up the fight quite yet.
Absolutely. Stevenson did get a slowdown for the first turn, just got the center of the car over the curb a little bit too far on the entrance to Redifilio, so that's why he lost that time. But still within the DRS of Steve Driscoll. The flap open, and he's coming back at him through Ascari. It's going to take him another lap to get in striking distance, but he's not out of this yet.
No, he's certainly not, and neither is Joshua Chin. We follow there as he goes around. You can see there about 3.5 tenths of a second faster on that last lap than Christian Challoner. He's able to keep those times up. That will be enough to close the gap down. Getting by, though, will be a different issue for the driver of the number 93. There is the number 1. Your reigning champion and current championship leader, Christian Challoner, as he continues to lead here as he has done flag to flag.
Absolutely. Christian Challoner in the lead of this race. Joshua Chin stuck behind Chris Yatito. These tires old enough that it's hard to make a pass even on a lapped car. Now in the major series, blue flags are advisory only. The drivers are not compelled to move. It's common courtesy to do so, but Chris Yatito choosing not to offer Joshua Chin that courtesy.
No, he is not. And there may be a little bit of team tactics involved in that. He may not want him to get ahead. So remember, that is a Forge car up ahead of a Kinetic car. But there comes Chin down to the inside. Now he's going to get a good pull from that DRS. Although for the first time in a couple of laps, he was not faster than Christian Challoner, off by about 1.5 tenths. Challoner holding the gap now that Chin's got some clean air at about 3.5, 3.6 seconds.
And Chin's running out of time to get this done. Like you said, 3.5 seconds behind Christian Challoner. Joshua Chin's got to make his move very soon. Otherwise, he's going to be in trouble. Also, you got to remember that he spun out on these tires, so they're very hot. Ooh, wow, that was very close to having the rear tire in the grass there. Oh, we've had a spin. Alexander Russell's around again.
Oh, another rough moment there for Alexander Russell, one of the ringers that came in here. Russell currently in 12th. He's going to be able to regain and hold on to that position right now. Let's watch the replay.
Let's see what happens here. He comes into the braking zone, flips the inside a little bit, and just carries a little bit too much speed through the second half of the chicane. Believe it or not, the cars can't handle that. And that was another car going straight on. I believe that was possibly David K. Hall. But back going again is Alexander.
So Alexander will get back on his way, as we said, in 12th position. He's got a pretty sizable gap, though, back to Alexander Russell. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And the game is still on. Joshua Chin setting the fastest lap of the race, getting that gap down to 3 seconds. This may be shades of Bahrain earlier this year, where he's going to have one shot to do this on the last lap, but he is certainly closing. In terms of lap traffic, Aaron Roofs is about 9 seconds up the road from Christian Challoner.
So Joshua Chin's gotten those tires under control. He's got them back to their operating temperature, and he's absolutely flying once again. 4/10 off of Christian Challoner's time that last time around, at just another 2/10 just in this first sector alone. So Joshua Chin absolutely pulling on Christian Challoner. But DJ, it's one thing to catch him. It's another thing to pass him. We've seen as the tires have gotten worn, it's harder and harder to pass around here. Joshua Chin, oh my goodness, that was a lot of curb on the inside. Manages to hang on to it, but Joshua Chin absolutely pushing right now. Lost 2/10 due to that.
He did, but I'll tell you what impressed me out of that is the fact that I was riding on board with Joshua Chin. He didn't move his wheel as the car came over those curbs. He was just gunning for it.
There's Christian Challoner, and there behind, you can see the gap back to Josh Chin. It's going to be about 3.2 when they cross the line this time. So that was a 23-3 versus a 23-1 for Josh Chin. Oh my goodness, we've had a wreck. Brian McGreevy and Alexander Russell have come together in Ascari.
Oh no, as the woes continue for Alexander Russell, let's go back to check this replay out. That's Russell up ahead, McGreevy that you're following right now.
Yeah, and this is just a classic Formula One incident. Both people trying to go into the same point of track and nobody willing to give an inch. Brian McGreevy with a late lunge here. Definitely was alongside at the point of turn in, but Alexander Russell was not given any room on the outside of the course, and so just got bumped off track, and he's back into the pits again.
Rough day for him as Augusto setting the fastest lap of the race there. That is, as we continue to watch ahead around, I believe that is still McGreevy, but here is Joshua Chin trying to close down on Challoner. He's gotten it down under 3 seconds now, hovering at about 2.7. Remember, as you said, Adam, 2.5, about that area he'll start to feel the benefit of the draft.
Absolutely, we're taking a look at that right now. Joshua Chin coming off of the final corner. He's going to have gained about 0.5 of a second on this lap, so a great run from him for sure. 4 to go this time around. He doesn't have the time to make this up, I don't think, DJ. He might get to the back of him, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to get into a position to pass until we come off of Parabolica for the final lap.
I think you may be right, although no one please trust my math skills. They are less than stellar. There's a reason why I do words. But as of now, Chin, you can see just how much he's taking out of those curbs, trying to push ahead. I think his biggest hope right now is going to be Aaron Roofs, who Tristan Challoner is just about to catch up with, maybe causing a little bit of a problem. Looks like, I think Roofs actually has gotten out of the way for Challoner, and that's going to be Roofs getting out of the way there for Chin.
Absolutely. I've seen that, according to the competition committee, that blue flags are enforceable in this race. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not Yatito falls afoul of that. But Joshua Chin, Nick Kuhn's around. He was battling up there with a couple of other drivers as well. So Nick Kuhn going around in turn 1, and he has some serious issues.
That car doesn't look like it wants to steer exactly the right way. Oh, great camera angle there from Dougie Beard. It's Joshua Chin working to get that gap down to under 2 seconds. As he crosses the line, it looks like by the time they get into the braking zone for the Rudafilio, he will have it just under. There it is, Chin trying to chase down. Looks like Chin maybe a little bit better on the brakes. Could that be his saving grace? But with 3 laps to go, he was 0.7 of a second faster than Challoner. If he can put in 2 more laps like that, he could have a real go on this final run.
Last time he got within 2 seconds, it took him 2 laps to get to the back of Christian Challoner. So if he's able to do that again, he'll be able to challenge him on the final lap. But remember, this is a couple laps through the race. Joshua Chin has spun on these tires. They're not looking too happy on his machine. Christian Challoner also a couple laps onto his tires. And remember that Joshua Chin is on tires that are 3 laps older than Christian Challoner's. So all of this is going to be impressive if he can pull any of it off.
It is indeed.
Oh, we've had a big wreck by McGreevy around again.
Ooh, yeah, there it is going down into the braking for the first corner. You can see a big chunk of that nose missing off of Brian McGreevy's machine. Let's see what happened. This is the run down out of the parabolic onto the main straight.
Yeah, and he just got this by himself, but what happened afterward is the scary part with Daniel B. Johnson, and I believe that was one of our other guest drivers. Look at them split him there. That's a scary moment for the drivers, and that was Justin Morton squeezing through.
Yes, it was. So everybody very thankful there for that. Focusing in on our main story, the gap now is 1.5 seconds for Joshua Chin. Now remember, if he gets within a second, he'll get that DRS advantage. But that is Adam Halleck and Rob Powers just up the road. Could lap traffic still play a part in these closing 2 laps here at Monza in the Americas Region Major Series? Let's see what happens. Chin, you can see him sawing at that wheel, trying to take everything he can out of it.
Chin absolutely risking everything right now. He absolutely clobbered the curbs in De La Roja. Christian Challoner now praying to the gods that these lap cars will get out of the way. They're not in a battle, Rob Powers and Adam Halleck. So let's see what happens here as they get on to the straight after Ascari. Rob Powers looking like he's not lifting for Christian. He is moving over for him, however. This is going to hold up Christian. No, it's not. So Joshua Chin is going to get a little bit of dirty air here. Christian Challoner, it's going to be 1.3 seconds at the line. Unless Christian makes a mistake, Joshua Chin's not going to have enough time to get to him.
Joshua will have DRS courtesy of that in front of him. No, it doesn't look like Joshua does, but Challoner did, so that's a boon to Challoner. That is the white flag out here, though. That is going to be Halleck, I believe, just running that barrier down. Excuse me, that was Powers running that barrier down. So here they come out of the final chicane, for the first chicane for the final time. Gap holding at about 1.2 seconds. Chin is really going to have about 1 run at this if he wants it, and I don't know if he is going to be close enough. Under braking into De La Roja.
He's definitely trying to get the most out of it that he can. Gets a little bit into the dirt there. 1.2 seconds, not close enough to pick up DRS for this next straightaway as they go through the Lesmos 1 and 2. Christian Challoner still 1.1 seconds ahead as they get onto the straightaway, just far enough to be out of DRS range at this point. Christian Challoner just has to make it through Ascari and Parabolica clean, and he'll have this victory. But Joshua Chin still charging with everything he's got. Clobbers the inside curb there of Ascari, trying to get closer. He might have DRS onto the front straight, but it may not matter. Christian Challoner, just 1 more turn to go.
1 more long right-hander. The gap holding it just over 1 second. I don't think Chin's going to get DRS, and that means that Christian Challoner exits the Parabolica for 1 final time, heads back on to the famed main straightaway at Monza, and takes the checkered flag here in the Italian Grand Prix. Your reigning championship leader holds it on out. We jump back into the field. This is Vincent Leherbier trying to hold off a charging Travis Warling.
Travis Warling, let's see whether or not he saved up enough battery for this straightaway. Vincent Leherbier with a good run on the straight is going to be able to hold off Warling. Is Warling going to send it deep onto the brakes here? Let's see what happens into the corner. Looks like Leherbier going to hang on to it here as they exit the Parabolica. Warling goes wide. Leherbier going to hang on to 4th position. Travis Warling 5th.
Travis Warling able to hold on to that 5th position, and there you see Challoner and Chin doing a little bit of a parade of honor, a great duel between race winners here. Chin taking victories earlier this year, and a great battle all the way around this circuit. Waiting for the last couple of drivers, and I believe that all of our drivers have now finished here today. So that's going to take us to a quick break while we catch our breath and maybe grab a glass of water, as this race was that exciting. But don't go anywhere. We will be right back with unofficial finishing order, as well as some podium interviews here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Welcome back to the Italian Grand Prix presented by the Major Series Americas region. We were just treated to an absolute stonker of a race there, with Christian Challoner leading virtually flag to flag, but not without an aggressive assault from Joshua Chin to come in second. Jason Enrique seemed to always be in the thick of the battle, but he was able to survive and hold on to a very, very well-earned P3, with Vincent Laherbier holding off Travis Warling at the end to come home 4th, with Warling 5th. Liam Quinn came home in 6th, with Steve Driscoll in 7th, Justin Kirby in 8th, and your biggest mover of the race, Mark Stevenson, up 22 positions to finish 9th. He was the last driver on the lead lap, with John Pat Kelly finishing 10th.
John Pat Kelly came home with the fastest lap, finishing on the soft tires after 2 stops. Jimbo Pfeiffer coming home in 11th position, up 13 spots from his starting position. Then another one of our guest drivers, Ronaldo Augusto, finishing in a great 12th position on a recovery drive himself from an earlier mistake. Then we have Daniel B. Johnson, who finishes in 13th, also on a recovery drive. Great job from him. Justin Morton recovering to 14th position after the 2 incidents that we saw where he was banging his wheel. He's got to be happy with that particular one as well. Brian Barnes in 15th position. Jeff Schmeier finishes 16th spot, just over Alexander Russell, who unfortunately washed out in the parabolica on the final lap and hit the outside wall, still out there on track. Adam Halleck finishing in 18th, with Chris Yatito 19th and Brian McGreevy 20th.
In 21st, it was Wayne Hutchinson, followed by Jason Wallet and Lynn Kinchlow. Nick Kuhn was 24th, followed by Aaron Roos in 25th. Both of those drivers 3 laps down. Rob Powers had some issues, finished 26th, with David Hall in 27th, 5 laps down. Bradley Haley, Andrew Waring, Kevin Hill, and Lyndon Swaby not finishing the race here today. But the man who did finish and finished in P1, Christian Challoner. Christian, how much were you sweating there at the end with Josh chasing you down?
Yeah, fair bit. No kidding. Josh was definitely quicker than me that second run, and I kind of put myself in a bit of a box as well. I'd taken 91 kilos as starting fuel, and if I'd have taken 92, my life would have been so much easier and so much nicer, because that was really kind of what. I think he was going to run me down anyway, because I kind of knew from the first stint that he was going to be quick, but I made it worse by having to save a lot at the beginning of that second run, and it was kind of strange. In saving, it meant I didn't really know what I had, and because I didn't really know what I had, I couldn't really push as hard as I wanted to. And it's like when you're behind, you just go, and if you make a mistake, it's kind of whatever, But if you're leading, it's super hard to make yourself push more than you need to, because you can only make a mistake. So yeah, I mean, he ran me down once, then had that half spin out of the second chicane, and at that point I kind of figured it was probably going to be okay whether he got back to me or not, because I'd kind of found a decent enough pace. But even then, I was still having to try and save fuel all the way to the end. So yeah, no doubt he was very, very quick, and I'm pretty certain that had we started out like equally with the same amount of fuel and whatever, he would have beat me anyway. But it was a little bit. I made it a little bit harder than it needed to be, and he made it a lot easier than it would have been.
Well, it was a good battle to keep our eyes on, certainly one for the timing and scoring screens. So it was mainly fuel that was holding you back. We were maybe thinking that there was a little bit of tire strategy as well. How much were you thinking about that as the race went along?
Well, to be honest, after Andrew was out and I kind of had that gap back to Chin, I was just going to cover whatever Chin did, because it kind of made sense. It felt like it was mainly Andrew and Chin that I was racing. So I knew he was going on a medium, so I was in Discord with him. So I went on mediums myself. I figured that the worst that happens is it's the same. But yeah, no, it's just totally fuel. I definitely should have started with 1 kilo more, because apparently it's actually quite difficult to save. Harder than I thought it was going to be, because pre-race I thought I was only going to need to save half a kilo, and I thought, well, you know what, like, get a good start, this will kind of just sort of work itself out as the car gets lighter. No, it didn't, because the track got faster, and it kind of offset that half kilo, and that half kilo became more like 1.5. So yeah, if I'd have just started with a little bit more fuel, it would have been less stressful for sure.
Well, at least you got to the end. We saw the little push there that Josh was giving you around, which we love to see. But turning our attention a little bit forward, obviously doing the Snowball Derby at the start of October, super lates at 5 Flags. Continue up your winning ways here, or is that one going to be a little bit more challenging for you?
I mean, 5 Flags is super cool. It's a track I really like, especially in the Super as well. The only thing I would say is that oval races tend not to be super kind to me in this league. I'm not really sure why, but it's always been that way, where I either seem to finish really, really well, or I actually don't finish at all. So yeah, it sounds on surface like it'd be good, and obviously in terms of qualifying, if you qualify at the front, then it makes it a significantly easier race. But it's always a mixed bag, I mean, modifieds, I felt like we were turning up with a good car, and turned out that we didn't. So then made a bunch of changes for the second race, but was kind of already behind at that point, and then ended up in the fence. So it can go either way, but should be fun. I mean, I really enjoy the car track combo. It's just a case of hopefully the racing's clean, and we can get some green flag running in, because track's really, really good for racing, especially 2-lane stuff and being able to pass in either kind of top or bottom.
Well, I know we're looking forward to seeing all you guys out there. There's nothing better than short track racing, in my opinion. But Christian, anybody you want to thank for this run here today?
Yeah, I actually want to give a shout out to my co-worker, Tanner McCullough, for making the Monza baseline setup, because that's what I was running right there. We kind of had a little bit of a challenge. I drove it in the support race last week, and I was like, it feels really good. I don't really know what I would change. And I basically just filled it up with fuel, made sure that it passed on the third spring preload, and Was pretty good. Was good enough to take the pole with low fuel, and was just about good enough to win the race here. So, yeah, I'd like to give him a shout out. The baseline setups they're pretty good.
You got to love that. That was your winner here today, Christian Challoner. Congratulations again to Christian. And now, Adam, you've caught up with our second place finisher, Josh Chin.
Absolutely, Josh. A great race from you today, coming home in second position, but just came up a little bit short. What do you think made the difference today?
I realized that first stint, I wasn't driving very well. Made a few mistakes. Almost lost in front of Christian, and might have thrown away the whole race there. Managed to thankfully keep it going. I think I had a little bit of wing damage, but it wasn't enough to actually get the wing repaired. That stint really was kind of the separator. He pulled 8 seconds by the end of the stint and chased him down once the second stint and dropped it a little, just trying to push, and then got it back to a second at the very end. So that first stint really was the difference decider in that.
So Christian was talking a lot about how close he was on fuel. How are you doing on fuel by the end of the race?
I still had about half a kilo to spare because Christian had 1 liter or 1 kilo less to start. And we were talking about it before the race. So like, nah, I'll be fine. I'll be in traffic and I can save it. And he never got that opportunity in traffic because the rest of us kept messing up so bad. So I guess that it worked out to my advantage to be able to try and chase him down. It wasn't enough in the end, but it definitely helped make it a little bit closer.
Absolutely, and you had some decent battles with Jason Enrique as well as Christian Challoner. And how was it driving this car around Monza? I know that it's not touched much on the surface right now, but it seemed like it put on a great show tonight, and it seemed like you guys were handling it pretty well.
Yeah, honestly, if I didn't have other plans during the season, I'd probably run this in official. It was pretty fun to drive. You don't quite have the tire strategy with the no forced compounds yet, but I'm sure whenever iRacing gets that, this car will be even more entertaining. You had a little bit of the DRS train effect going on. We kind of broke that up once I got around Jason, and he made one mistake, especially with him being on lower wing. But it actually raced really well. I think, something similar to what you would see in today's F1 race.
And next week we head off to do the Snowball Derby. Very different from this particular next round, rather. Very different from this race. What are your thoughts, and what are you looking forward to a good finish there as well?
I hope so. I like short track racing. I don't seem to have any luck doing it lately, but if I have a decent day, and I don't want to wish this, but if something happens to Christian, it opens up the points a little bit more. Today was kind of damage limitation with everything that happened, and making up ground and Waring and James Walker not being here. So hopefully make up some ground and points. Really don't want Christian to have a bad race because he's run really well all season. He probably deserves the championship, but if he does have misfortune, I hope I can capitalize on it.
Well, regarding that, we're looking forward to seeing both you and him next round. Is there anyone you want to thank for your second place finish?
Big shout out to everyone at Kinetic Racing. Was able to get a lot of practice in this week, so they helped out a lot, especially figuring out the start procedure. Liam helped a lot with that before we got going, and that was probably the difference between me wheel spinning and starting in like 15th place and coming off the first lap in second or third place.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Josh, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, guys.
That was Josh Chin, our second place finisher, and we've got Jason Enrique here, who finished in third, talking to DJ.
Well, Jason, that was an action-packed race for you pretty much through about the first 3/4 of us. Talk me through those opening about 25 laps or so when you were in that very intense battle, pretty much all around the circuit.
Yeah, it was really fun. When lights went out, it was just like every man for himself. It was really fun. We kind of had like a DRS train, but I just kept on making too many mistakes. I couldn't get close enough. And then eventually I just made a big mistake and just lost the draft.
How do you recover as a driver from that, knowing you made that mistake? I mean, is it a matter of sort of actively putting it out of your brain, or is it something that you just have to be like, okay, I've done it. That's my mistake for the day. Let's keep going.
Yeah, you kind of just have to think, like back everything up and think. Don't start like over driving. I just accept that I made a mistake and just try and not make the mistake in that corner and just drive calm.
Well, I'd say you did a pretty good job driving calm for the rest of it. Think you'll be able to keep up that same kind of calm driving as we head to Five Flags next time for the super late models?
Yeah, hopefully I can do as good as I did here. The ovals haven't been too great to me, but it sounds really fun, and I'm really looking forward to doing it.
I know we are as well. Jason, anybody you'd like to thank today for this third place?
Yeah, I want to thank Forge Racing Team a lot for the setup and all the driving coaching. I couldn't get a lot of practice in, and they helped me a lot get up to speed with the start procedure, everything. Just want to give a big shout out to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. That was your third place finisher, Jason Enrique. And that is just about going to wrap things up here for us on the Global Sim Racing channel. Excuse me. That's my bad. We've got one more person into the booth, and that is Alexander Russell, and Adam Lindgren has caught up with him.
Absolutely, Alexander. Not necessarily the best day for you today, but still a great race. He showed a lot of speed out there on track. It looked like it was just a matter of possibly just tires and grip out there. What do you think was causing the issues today?
I think it was just me not being in the right headspace. I was a little nervous before the race. I hadn't done too much fuel strategy, and I didn't know what strategy I was going to run going into the race. So I saw the hard tires, and I kind of just said, screw it. We're going to try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This is my first round of 2021, and I was kind of hesitant on whether I should try and do something far out there or try and stick to a safer strategy like mediums.
Well, that being said, you were doing some pretty good pace on the hards before the spin. But that being said, after that, you were able to climb your way through the field. How is it racing this car on this track and the competition that you saw on track today?
This car on this track, it's really interesting actually. It felt really natural. It just kind of, you were able to click off laps, and it was just a joy to drive. And the competition here was real strong. Like, I did not expect to be in the top 10. That'll be sure, because I go into this series expecting everyone to bring their A game. I know that people here work really hard on their setups and their cars, and they do hundreds of laps of practice, especially for a race like this, where...
Yeah, absolutely, Alexander, and just a fantastic race from you for sure.
It's a full distance Formula 1. Yeah. It's a shame that things didn't go how I wanted it to. A two-stopper wasn't in the cards when I first thought of the race, but it happened to be, and I still had a lot of fun out here. I'm very thankful for you guys to broadcast the race and for Majors to host these very spectacular events.
Absolutely, and do we look forward to seeing you next round?
Yes, I will definitely try and make it. It's a lot of fun, and there are a lot of great drivers in here who I'd like to continue to race with.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing you, Alexander. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to thank VRS Satellite Racing. They helped me with the setup. They were really, really, really generous in helping me with this race and round, and it helped and paid off a lot. Shame qualifying didn't go how I wanted it to show them, but they have a lot of great partners over there like VRS, Muradness, all their different partners. They provide a huge amount of support to their team.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Alexander, and we look forward to seeing you next round.
Thank you.
That was Alexander Russell, who finished down in 17th position. DJ, back to you.
Well, folks, now it is time for us to say goodbye here on the Global Sim Racing channel. But before we do, we want to remind you about today's charity, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. There is a link on where to donate down on the bottom of the YouTube comments. We also want to thank the companies and that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen to how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Joe, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find us at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out any of our social media listed through the outlets on the bottom of your screen. If you'd like to support the channel, go to our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. The link is in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Well, you heard us talk about it a couple of times. The next race for the Major Series is going to be the Snowball Derby. The super late models at Five Flags, October 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern. We also have some upcoming races listed here on your screen, so check them out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.